Folks, when developers feel that a fighting game character is too strong and needs to be nerfed, there are a few different ways that they can go about it. They can reduce their damage so they're not doing as much on each hit. They can nerf their combos so that things that used to combo no longer will. And sometimes they even remove moves altogether, like Seth used to have this yoga sniper move that he could do from his jump, which in later versions they just removed because this was way too powerful and annoying to deal with. But have you ever heard of a character being nerfed by adding a move? They added a move to the character and it made the character overall worse. There are some cases of this happening, though it's a little bit rare, and I wanted to run through them today and show you some examples of ways that developers have creatively nerfed characters by giving them new moves. But folks, before we take a look at some clean gameplay, first I want to tell you how to get a cleaner look and how to improve your hygiene with the sponsor for today's video, Manscaped. You guys know I'm pretty proud of the old chrome dome. This is like my signature look, right? But until now, I've been shaving my head with a normal razor blade, which is kind of annoying. You can only go like 1 inch at a time. Half the time I get like nicks and razor burn all over my head, but not anymore. Thanks to the new Manscaped Dome Shaver Pro. I've been using this thing for about a week now, and honestly, I have been really impressed by how well it works. It's got 5 premium rotary blades. With Manscaped's new Flex Adjust technology, you can see it kind of contours and curves over the surface of your head, so you can shave way closer and way faster. And it's got Manscaped's skin-safe technology, which means you're less likely to get nicks and cuts, and I haven't gotten a single cut anywhere on my head since I've switched to this thing. I mean, are you guys seeing this? I look clean, right? You kind of have to admit it. And when you're done shaving, you can put on the Dome Soother aftershave lotion. It's alcohol-free and made with naturally soothing ingredients. My skin feels so clean and refreshed after putting this on. Plus, it smells really nice too. It kind of smells like being out in the woods. I like this too. So if you want to take your grooming game to the next level, go to manscaped.com, pick up the Dome Shaver Pro and the Dome Soother Lotion, and make sure you use promo code jmcrofts for 20% off your order plus free shipping. That's 20% off plus free international shipping with promo code jmcrofts at manscaped.com. Trust me, your scalp will thank you. So the first example I want to talk about is Dan in Street Fighter 5. This is what even gave me the idea to make this video, because this is one of the most inspired nerfs I think I've ever seen in a fighting game. So in Street Fighter 5, when they added Dan, it was discovered that he actually had an infinite. Which is kind of crazy. In Street Fighter, infinites are exceedingly rare and almost are never in the game, and when they are, they're usually patched out pretty quickly. But Dan had an infinite. Dan, the character that is famous for being intentionally like a joke character, intentionally bad. Pretty insane thing for him to have, and we actually saw it in tournament, which is pretty unbelievable. James Chen behind me was losing his mind along with Vicious when they saw that. So Capcom knew they had to get rid of this infinite somehow, so they could have done something like add additional startup frames to his moves. They could make moves push him back more so that the infinite doesn't work anymore. But what they actually did was much more creative. They gave Dan a new move that is a red fireball. So similar to Ryu and Akuma, who have red fireballs in a lot of games, Dan now has a red fireball that knocks down. But the thing is, it is randomly triggered. He has no control over when he throws his blue fireball and when he throws his red fireball. It's roughly a 15% chance of happening. And there's a lot of rumors out there, like if you do something specific, you can control when you get it. But you can't. I just got insanely lucky when I was filming this take, and I got the red fireballs when I needed them to explain them to you guys. So technically, the infinite is still in the game. It still does work. I'll try to the best of my ability to do it here, but at some random point in the infinite, you are going to have to stop the combo because you're going to get that red fireball that knocks down. So what I like about this is, you know, you can still swag on the opponent. If you get that perfect opportunity to do a really amazing combo, you can still go for the infinite. It's just not going to be a true infinite anymore. You're just going to do a handful of reps, and then you can end it with something cool like a super or an uppercut or something like that. So I just feel like this shows that around the end of Street Fighter V's life cycle, around the last season, they were really in their bag. They were really doing some clever and smart things with the game, and in my opinion, I think this is maybe the most brilliant nerf I've ever seen to a combo in a fighting game. So that's the first example, Dan's red fireball that they added to Street Fighter V. It actually, look now, I can't get it when I need it now to give the example, but yeah, the red fireball. But would you believe this was not the first time that a character was nerfed by giving them a red fireball? So Ryu in Street Fighter Alpha 2 has probably the best fireball in the game. And one of the reasons for this is when he does his heavy punch fireball, if you do it from far away, it's just normal. It just acts like a normal fireball with really good properties. It's very fast startup and recovery. But if you do it from up close, it will actually knock the opponent down. You will kind of automatically trigger that burning knockdown effect if you do it close enough to the opponent. Once you get pushed out of range, it goes back to just being a normal fireball. You can even see when the fireball first leaves his hands, there's like one frame where you can kind of see it's red. So that's the visual indicator that the fireball is going to catch them on fire and knock them down. So this is really amazing for footsies. You know, you can use this fireball as a poke, get a random knockdown, and then go for like mix-ups afterwards, which is not a privilege that the other fireball characters have. And this actually helps with one weakness that fireballs have, which is that if you do a fireball too close to the opponent, it can actually be punished. So even on block or on hit, fireballs can be unsafe if done too close. But this is not the case for Ryu's heavy fireball, because no matter how close you are to the opponent, you're in this red fireball knockdown range, so you're going to get a knockdown. So this move is never unsafe on hit. However, in the updated version of this game, Alpha 2 Gold, this is not the case anymore. Now, his heavy fireball does not knock down on hit, meaning, you know, you do have to be a little bit careful about using this move. Instead, they moved the red fireball to its own attack, now done with half circle forward and punch. So he still has this heavy punch fireball that will knock the opponent down if it's done close, but only if you do the half circle forward version. And it turns out this version is kind of nerfed compared to the normal version. So his normal fireball still has the really amazing properties, the really fast startup and recovery. It's a really amazing move. But the red fireball that knocks down is going to have significantly worse frame data. It's going to be more risky to use it as a poke. It's easier to jump over and punish. So yeah, by moving this move to its own special move input and giving it more unique properties instead of just stealing the super powerful properties of his normal heavy punch fireball, they did nerf Ryu in Alpha 2 Gold. Alright, this time instead of a new special move being added, I wanted to talk about a new normal move being added. So in Street Fighter 2, Guile only had one version of far-standing heavy punch, and it was his back fist. And this was pretty darn strong. Because this move reaches so far, you could do really nasty stuff like poking with this move and then throwing a sonic boom after to help you close the gap. You know, you can do a block string, end it with this move, and still be able to throw out a sonic boom. So yeah, having this really long-range normal combined with the ability to store up charge and throw sonic booms was pretty ridiculous. So eventually, way in the far-off future of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Guile got a new standing heavy punch. You can even see it's like one of the moves in this game that is ultra animated with a ton of frames. Yeah, this move is now done if you just press heavy punch, and if you press forward heavy punch, you will now get the back fist. So this does end up being a pretty decent nerf for the character. Now if he wants to poke with the back fist, he's not going to be able to throw a sonic boom after. He needs time to get charge. This move is still not bad, but if you look at the range compared to the back fist, it's a little bit tragic. So yeah, Guile is obviously still amazing in this game. He still has the knee, which is a way that he can move forward while holding charge. But yeah, definitely having to use this move if he wants to maintain charge is a pretty decent nerf. All right, next up, let's talk about one that you guys probably saw coming from the title of the video. Let's talk about Wolverine in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So in the original version of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Wolverine was considered a huge threat. He is very fast. He had a really good dive kick. His combos were really long. He was definitely one of the major threats of the game. And that actually continued into Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but he did get one very interesting new addition. So in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Wolverine got a new move. He calls it Swiss cheese. In the actual in-game move list, it's called Berserker Rage. But everybody just calls it Swiss cheese. And this is a mashing type move, meaning you get this move by repeatedly pressing any attack button, similar to 100-hand slap for E Honda in Street Fighter. And although this has not been officially confirmed, at least I haven't been able to find any developer interview or anything where they say that this is intentional. But it is widely believed that Swiss cheese was added to the game so that if you're mashing too much with Wolverine, you will accidentally get this input and mess up your combo. So I don't know if this is actually the case, but it seems to be the case because there's not much other use for this move. It doesn't really help your combos in any way. It nerfs your combo damage a lot because of all the hits. So this is maybe a little bit of like an urban legend or a little bit of fan lore, but I'm going to go ahead and agree with the sentiment that Swiss cheese is intended to be a bad move that you accidentally get because you're just mashing too much when you do your combo. So you got to be careful when you're playing Wolverine so you don't accidentally get this move. Except, well, actually, I know some of you are probably saying that Swiss cheese has an infinite. Guys, check this out. You can see this is in full 320p quality or whatever. Wolverine has a Swiss cheese infinite, guys. Unfortunately, this was patched out of the game very, very quickly after it was discovered. I think it only lasted like a month. But hey, at least for a brief shining period, Swiss cheese had an actual use in the game, but not anymore. You know, while we're on the subject of Marvel 3, there's a few other moves that I think could fit for this video. One is with She-Hulk. So She-Hulk in original Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was considered a very strong character, but she got a lot of nerfs in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Including the addition of this new move where she swings the light post and it wall bounces you. Like, okay, this move is maybe arguably has some use, but it is generally a move you don't use that much other than some really specific combos. And the big issue in this game is that throwing is done by being close to the opponent and pressing forward plus heavy or back plus heavy. That's how you throw in this game. So if the opponent is coming at you and you expect that they're going to throw you, normally you will try to break the throw using back plus heavy to throw tech. But now, in this game, in original Marvel 3, if you did that and they didn't throw you, if they jumped or something, you would just get this move, which is a pretty strong move. But in this game, you know, if they come at you to throw and they don't actually do a throw, you try to throw tech, you get this move, which is just so slow. And you can see she even like runs her hand through her hair at the end. You can't do any attacks during this animation, so yeah, you're gonna have to like do something tricky like special cancel it, but you're really just making yourself even more vulnerable. So yeah, it's very, very dangerous to try to throw tech backwards with She-Hulk because you might just end up whiffing this move and getting brutally punished. So yeah, that kind of hurt, the addition of the lamppost move. Another character with some accidental input problems is Ryu. So in a lot of the Capcom Versus games, you can do what's called wave dashing by alternating between dashing and crouching to basically be able to dash faster across the screen. Normally there's like a gap in between every dash, but with wave dashing, you can dash very quickly. So unfortunately with Ryu, they gave him a new super move in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 where the input is down, down, 2 punches. Down, down, 2 punches, and yeah, you wave dash by alternating down and 2 punches. So if you're trying to wave dash quickly across the screen, you will just accidentally get this super, waste your meter, end up in a really bad spot. So yeah, they made wave dashing significantly harder with Ryu, which definitely was a painful nerf for a little while until we eventually figured out that there's a thing called plink dashing, where you, instead of crouching, you basically cancel the startup of a normal to repeatedly dash. You can see my plink dashes are not that clean, but that is a technique that is much superior. It has faster startup than wave dashing, so now all the top players use plink dashing instead. So it doesn't come up that much anymore, but until we figured out plink dashing, and if you don't have the execution to plink dash, then yeah, this is definitely an annoying thing about Ryu. All right, I've got a couple more kind of accidental input-based moves here. I definitely don't think that these were intended to be nerfs, but I think that if you got used to playing a character and doing their moves in a certain way and not having to worry about overlapping inputs, then they got new special moves that you just do by accident, and it really hurts, even if it's not an intentional nerf from the developers. So the first one is Potemkin. So Potemkin has a charge move, charge back, forward plus heavy slash, and a lot of times when people do charge moves, I feel like they end up just kind of accidentally doing a half circle forward motion. When going from back to forward, especially if you play on a controller and not a stick, it can be kind of hard to go from back to forward without hitting those downward directions and doing a half circle forward. But in a later patch of Guilty Gear Strive, they gave Potemkin a new move on half circle forward heavy slash, where, you know, he takes off like a rocket. And this move has some decent uses. It's actually not a bad move at all. But when you really want Hammerfall, which is like one of his best moves and a move that you use all the time, and you accidentally just go to space instead, yeah, it really hurts, and it can definitely cost you the round if you get the wrong input. So yeah, be very careful. Be very, very clean with your charge back to forward inputs, because you can definitely get this space rocket ship move even if you were holding charge. And of course, we couldn't end the video without talking about perhaps the most memed on special move in Street Fighter history. It's Tundra Storm. So this move is famously one of the worst special moves ever put in a Street Fighter game. So the only purpose of this move is that it counters horizontal kicks. And you can see you have to time it pretty well. You can't be too early with it. But yeah, it will counter horizontal kicks, which there aren't even that many of in the game. I mean, like, any crouching kick basically does not count. It has to be like a mid horizontal kick. And even if you think to yourself, okay, like, does heavy kick count? I mean, it's like diagonal. It's not really horizontal. No, it very much does not count. That is not horizontal enough. So yeah, Thunderstorm just doesn't even counter that many moves that exist in the game, and it's just a useless move that you basically will never ever do on purpose. So this move is input with Dragon Punch plus 2 punches, which, you know, there aren't really that many overlapping moves for Zangief that I think you're going to accidentally get this, but because he is a 360 command throw character, you know, you do a 360 to get your command throw. I could see that if you're really churning the butter, I could see a world where you accidentally get Thunderstorm when you're trying to do EX360 grab. I don't know. I don't think it's really happened to me, but I've definitely seen people complain about it online. So really, he just doesn't need the move. They could delete the move, and it would not affect him at all in terms of where he is on the tier list. So just removing any possibility that you could accidentally get this, I think the players would be okay with, because, yeah, Thunderstorm is just awful. So yeah, that's the list, guys. It was really hard to find any examples of this because it's something that's done very, very rarely, but I hope you guys found it interesting which moves were added to characters that actually made them worse. And yeah, let me know if you can think of any other examples down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. You guys are awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.